I'd rather die on my feet, burn to the ground. Don't you be speaking in ill of the greed. Money is life, the colors of trees, the meaning of health. Selling your freedom by giving you wealth, filling you up, but now it counts as long as it sells. I've fought so long, but I'm still surrounded. And I've jumped so high, but I'm still grounded. I'm taking your hits, but never your shit. Swallow a kick to the stomach, I want it. The passion, the will, the Ferraris, I'll flaunt it. I would do anything to be iconic, a line. I'll try to be someone who's someone. Think I won't get it, but bet that I will. Eating this game, I'm ahead of my meals. Climbing this ladder, collecting more planets. Get fatter and fatter than footing the bills. I fought so long, but I'm still surrounded. Buying my credit, then when you're indebted, just let it get bigger and bigger. I'll sell it like and I'll shut down on records. I'm wrecking this industry down to percentages. I will not stop until I've got everything. All of you companies living on debit. I'm one of these people alive, so indebted to me and my wallet. The only ones getting it. All of you idiots, all who can breathe. Towering over you, bowing to me. Down on my feet, then polish my knees. I'm burning to the ground, that's some of my beliefs. I've fought so long, but I'm still surrounded. This is the problem you couldn't resolve. You started as robbing the prince of thieves, but now you just be robbing them all. All of your wants, stacking and stacking, you packing your greed. You bought all the fruit, you caught all the fish. You're fracking this oil, but cracking your land and blaming it all on supply and demand. Limit is in, and this world is a weapon. It's warmer and warmer, and soon we'll be dead, and then nobody's spending, cause nobody's buying. Ordered $1 billion, your building's on fire. I know more people, you've run out of buyers. Products you got it, just stacking the pie. Higher than finally fall, tumbling over. You built it too tall. Your castle of order is crashing down. King with the crown of nothing at all. Money you've owned is nothing but kindling. All of your wickedness, all that have made you rich. All of this money is not just the matter shit. All the world's taking you too busy counting it. Look what you founded, you said a decree. Government's careless, company greed. Destroying the air while you rather be counting your cash and trying to breathe. Fuck your beliefs. I've fought so long, but I'm still surrounded. I fought so long, but I'm still surrounded. I fought so long, but I'm still surrounded. And I've jumped so high, but I'm still grounded. I've jumped so high, but I'm still grounded. I've fought so long, but I'm still surrounded. I fought so long, but I'm still surrounded. And I've jumped so high, but I'm still grounded. I've jumped so high, but I'm still grounded.
I don't know. What do I think about hate? I don't know, Johnny. I mean, that's a good question, though. That's a good question. I don't think hate exists. How's that? I don't know. What do I think about hate? I don't know, Johnny. I mean, that's a good question, though. That's a good question. I don't think hate exists. How's that? There's no such thing as hate, man. Hate is only derision and sabotage and bad voodoo directed towards an element of yourself. Hate is never directed elsewhere. It's always directed at the self. And I'm talking about no matter what. And I'm saying if you hate a race, those thoughts, the energy that's aroused from you to produce hate is an energy that is not purposefully directed at something. It is an energy that's aroused from you that is inverted into your own self. And when you look at abuse, and I'm talking about abuse. Not many people know the meaning of the word. When you look at that, not something to be hated. Look at it in the shoes of a god. You are looking at your world, and your children were abusing each other. Hate is not exactly the word you'd be bringing up. You'd be looking for a word that is not in English. For starters, whatever we're trying to define here, whatever a god would feel upon looking at abuse, the word does not exist in English. I'm sure we can all know that. So you're at a disadvantage. You get what I'm saying? Do you know what sort of a fundamental disadvantage that makes it impossible for you to get anywhere for your whole life. Injustice? Blake? No. You don't quite get it yet. The word that you're looking for has been removed from your language, so you cannot define it. Do you get what that means? Do you get how heavy that is? God being angry in the Old Testament and us being made in the image of God. Any God that's going to demand a killing of a son is not God, it's Satan. Okay, let's get things fucking straightened out, okay? Satan asks that of a father, not God. I think we can all agree upon that. Anything that demands that you kill a son is something you point the knife at in the sky and you say, I'll kill you. How else do you explain it? Any God that demands that is no God at all. It's a dead thing that doesn't even know it's dead. It thinks it's God, but it knows its days are numbered. That's no God. That's a demon. What do you want me to say? What do you want me to apologize for some maniac plate of spaghetti in the sky? Fuck no. Are you kidding me? How do you expect things in this world to get better if nobody hates bad things? Or have you come to the conclusion that there's no helping this world ever, no matter what? No, I wouldn't say that. There is wisdom on one hand, and then there is knowledge and emotion on the other hand. I mean, I know there's two things. You can use one or the other if you felt like it. You have to distinguish between wisdom and an emotion that is used against you only. An emotion that exists only could be used against you. Look, I know that Jesus, there were many Christs. I think we all know that Christ is in Krishna. I think you'd be a moron not to see that connection. You'd be stupid. But Jesus, and
that voice finally emerged with a creator called Sebiwebs. Watch
There he
remake
is.
content.
The handsome hero of the story shows up. Define grifter. Imagine telling that to someone who's been playing these games for like 30 years. It's just so unbelievably insulting. A lot of these fans, the way they write is as bloated as modern FF storytelling. Don't change the story. Well, you know, some of these people think that I played FF10 for the first time in 2024 because that's when I posted an ending video of it. Here's the thing, even my patience has limits. Yeah, so there's a YouTube video that is about me and how I changed the world of FF7 Remake discourse. Let's check it out.
Do you remember the old days when it was dangerous business to challenge the Final Fantasy VII Remake? Each time someone published a video, it was like slipping on the One Ring and drawing the Eye of Sauron, because the toxic remake fans would soon appear. I don't mean people who disagreed with us.
That is such an amazing metaphor, because it's true. You post anything critical of FF7 Remake or Rebirth anywhere on the internet, your own channel, and many in the fandom, they're just like, and they come riding to your location, you know? And then it's like, why would you come and ruin my day with this? It's true, man.
Sauron, because the toxic remake fans would soon appear. I don't mean people who disagreed with us. I mean the ones hell-bent on silencing any spaces where people could freely criticize the remake games. They'd arrive with their insults, obsessed, grifter, and of course, their abusive comments. Rather than
they don't know what the word grifter means, do they? Like, if I wanted to grift, I would say that 7 Remake Rebirth are amazing, the best things ever, and then I could then get sponsorships, I could then get free stuff, you know, maybe the Tifa statue where she's doing the splits on the Buster Sword, event invites, meet the devs. I will never get any of those things, and I don't want any of those things, all right? Like, none of that matters to me when the game is rubbish, in my opinion. In fact, the game being good is the only thing I care about. It's the only thing that matters. I think in this day and age, people just use grifter to mean someone I don't agree with. That's it. They don't know what it means. In fact, I'll tell you what, let's look up. Define grifter. A person who engages in petty or small-scale swindling. How does that apply to FF7 Remake Rebirth criticism at all? Like, do you think I don't actually hate it? I do. Look, if I didn't actually hate these games, then they need to give me multiple lifetime Oscars, all right? Because if you don't actually feel that way, you can't keep that up for like years straight. I've been pissed at Rebirth since bloody launch, all right? In fact, it's an effort for me to not talk about it. And also, the abuse they hurl is also a very important point. Notice how they don't really have any counter arguments. They just insult you. They just call you names. It's because they can't counter your arguments. It's because evidence is not on their side. And as for calling you obsessed, I mean, these are people who sit there on Twitter tweeting 24/7 about whether Cloud is banging Eris or Tifa, all right? That's obsessed. And they're wrong as well, because Rebirth confirmed that Cloud is banging Red 13. You know, we all saw the date scene. You know, he's banging the dog. So, as a proud Clannicky, I think it's unfair. They can't deny my ship, all right? I'm sick of us Clannickies getting denied. Hashtag Clannicky.
Insults, obsessed, grifter, and of course, their abusive comments. Rather than ignoring a video that clearly wasn't meant for them, each upload became a bat signal for the deranged. With remakes...
It's true. It's like the One Ring. They all say, oh, if you don't like it, don't play it. You know, it's like, well, if you don't like my videos, don't watch them. They can't even follow their own logic. They can't even practice what they preach.
With Remake's loud and faithful fan base and its own personal band of Nazgul hunting down anyone critical, it was so easy for creators like me and like-minded fans to get washed away in the noise. Most people critical of Remake, although united in their opinions, weren't united under a cause. They had no product to deify, and there was nothing like the pro-Remake fans had, a figurehead in Maximilian Doom.
They had no product to deify. I wouldn't deify E33, but E33 did change everything. There's a reason that when that game dropped, I then started dropping criticism of 7 Rebirth and Modern FF, because to argue against Modern FF in the past was a bit harder because there was nothing to compare it with. It had no competition. Like, name me the AAA realistic 3D turn-based JRPG that was a rival to that. There is none. So when you're arguing against a lot of Modern FF 7 Remake stuff, a lot of it was hypothetical. A lot of it was theoretical. If it did this, then this and stuff. E33 came out and just completely destroyed that. It destroyed all the old arguments. It nuked them, to be honest. And a lot of Modern FF fans haven't actually realized that yet. But it's all right. They will in time.
Deify, and there was nothing like the pro-Remake fans had, a figurehead in Maximilian Dude, who they felt represented most of their feelings, and whose backstory of inspiring Square Enix and receiving the word of God from developers before returning to the fandom was akin to Moses coming down from the mountain with the stone tablets. And with content creators of that status, with such a wave of enthusiastic Remake support online, it almost gave the impression to the untrained eye that the only people critical of the game sat in a tiny minority, a bunch of 6 or 7 old nerds who couldn't handle new things. But
The funny thing is, right, he's right, to the untrained eye. And from an outside perspective, if you're a complete newcomer, you see the ratings for Rebirth, you know, it's like, well, I don't know, you know, the reviewers seem to love it, the people who played it seem to love it, but what they don't see is the abysmal sales of Rebirth. The sales of Rebirth tell the true story. The people who bought that game, they were already in for the fan fiction, multiverse, sneakquel aspect of it, and they still seem to like it, whereas a lot of people were turned off by some things in Remake, and when they found out the truth about that, they're like, I'm out. It's like if you went to a furry convention, for example. You know, if you ask the furries who went there, did you have a fun time? 9 out of 10 might say yes, they might have enjoyed the furry convention. But does that now mean that furry conventions are this popular mainstream thing that everyone loves? No, they're niche, like Rebirth.
Everyone's a winner.
minority, a bunch of 6 or 7 old nerds who couldn't handle new things. But the truth was, Remake fans had theory crafting for what might be, while everyone else had the cold hard reality of the here and now, and sticking around to chat about a game they didn't enjoy seemed like a waste of time. Many moved on to other games and other social circles. They had their love of Final Fantasy VII reawakened by the news of a remake, played the game in 2020, and then shuffled away, confused, never to play Rebirth. Yeah, these people do exist. They walk among us. And you may be surprised how many there are, because it was only a percentage of us who stayed online to discuss it. We're the ones who...
Well, to give an example of how many there are, I had 13,000 YouTube subs when I first started posting Exhibition 33 and also Critical 7 Remake Rebirth content. I now have 136,000 subs in about 9 months. That's how many there are. And it's only going to keep going up because I got a lot more content in the works. And there's, yes, now and again, I get a comment saying, you know, used to like your E33 stuff, but I can't stand the Remake Rebirth slander. I am leaving. I need you to know that I am unsubbing. You will never see me again. I get that now and again, you know, and I'm sorry about that. But the overall number, it just keeps going up and up and up. You know, like, there's a silent majority, and sometimes they leave me a comment just being like, look, I don't want to argue with these psychopaths, but I agree. So thank you. And if you're one of those people, you all right.
Many there are, because it was only a percentage of us who stayed online to discuss it. We're the ones who hung around trying to figure out our feelings, to debate.
There was only a percentage of us who stayed online to discuss it. I mean, I'll tell you, yeah, most OG fans, most normal people, they're not living on Twitter 24/7 shipping Clannicky like me. Most OG fans, most normal people, they're not living on Twitter just posting about how much they want to bang Cloud, Eris, or Red 13. All right, they're out doing other things. You know, the fact that I can get any traction at all on platforms like Twitter is insane. It's almost like that's the power of the truth. Because I tell you what, Twitter, that is the Mordor. It's like Soydor. And every time I make a tweet, it's like being Aragorn in Lord of the Rings, being like, for FF7. And then just running head first into an army of screaming soy orcs. All right, so as I say, it's a miracle that anyone on some of these platforms even supports me at all, because that's not where the OGs are.
In comment sections, or to try to remind people what the original game had actually said. And then you had oddballs like me, who made videos about it for all of 5 years. I was a small fry nuisance for toxic remake fans, yet they drew some comfort from the fact that I sat in a dark corner of the internet where no plants ever grew. But what would happen when a voice emerged that quickly became too big to silence? How would remake fans respond? Well,
there he is, folks. The handsome hero of the story himself, showing up to save the bloody day. Hey, same shirt as well.
That quickly became too big to silence. How would remake fans respond? Well, more on that soon. Since the very beginning, toxic remake fans had a particular strategy for OG purists like us. They'd tell us to stop being negative, stop complaining, which was a bizarre thing to say to people who had a vested interest in Final Fantasy, who obviously cared enough to speak out. We're fans of the OG. We have formative memories involving the PS1 classic. Just because we had criticisms of how Square Enix chose to remake it, and we didn't want to sugarcoat how we felt, we had to stop talking? Well, what if I got enjoyment out of talking about the issues? What if through sharing my opinions, I met lots of interesting people I never would have met, like-minded OG fans and even remake fans who shared what they were enjoying about the new games? What if people commented on my videos sharing how good it felt to have someone discuss their feelings openly and now felt like they had a place they could share their own without getting blasted?
It is really nice, you know, that my channel has built a community around people who feel a bit, is disenfranchised the right word? Let down, disappointed, misled, deceived, lied to, bullied about all the shenanigans. You know, I appreciate you guys a lot. And I got a lot of respect for Orion85 because he did this before E33 dropped. He did this when Rebirth dropped, and Rebirth launch was the height of Gaslight Central. That was the height of the storm. It was brutal, man. Oh, God, it was so annoying. I couldn't even hop into a stream, you know, just say hello, because, you know, people were like, oh my God, Sebi, you love FF7. Did you like Rebirth? And I would have to be like, no, I didn't like it. And they'd be like, they would react like I'd popped all their birthday balloons. And it's just like, oh, God, so annoying. So when they say stop being negative, stop complaining, they will say this about the most minor criticism ever, the most legitimate criticism ever. And I'll tell you what, because these people have shielded Square and 7 Rebirth from criticism for so long, Hamaguchi has come out and said that he thinks that Rebirth is well-paced. Quote, well-paced. No, that's bad. That's a result of this insulation. As long as the fandom keeps doing this, modern Square devs cannot figure out what they're doing wrong, even if they try. They can't. And now part 3 is probably going to be as bloated as Rebirth, you know, when it should be more streamlined. Rebirth would have been a lot better if a lot of those mini games were actually all just packed into Gold Saucer, and Gold Saucer was mini game central.
Things openly and now felt like they had a place they could share their own without getting blasted. But certain remake fans would rather all that go away just to control the discussion. Well, they don't control it as much as they want to. When we insisted on sharing our opinions, they tell us we were obsessed. A hilarious thing to say by people who equally endlessly comment on the game and seek out any video with Final Fantasy VII in the title, even critical ones. These people...
Yeah, I get these people in my comments. They constantly say they hate the Rebirth content. Well, why are you watching every single video about it? I think I make it very clear from the thumbnail what my opinion about this is going to be. You can tell from the short title what it's going to be about, but you seek them out anyway. Every single one. So I don't see them commenting on the videos that are not about Remake or Rebirth, and if they want to see them, let's be generous and say I've made 200. That's still 1,600 videos I've made that have absolutely nothing to do with FF7 Remake or Rebirth. The thing is, those are the only videos they're gonna watch.
Out any video with Final Fantasy VII in the title, even critical ones. These people projected onto us. They told us we were bitter that others were enjoying Remake while we were suffering in disappointment. On the contrary, we were fine with you liking it. That had no bearing on us.
Yeah.
We just wanted to voice our disappointment without someone getting mad at us, because that's all that ever happened from day one. You're a purist, a fake fan. You didn't understand it. When all along the...
Oh, fake fan is such a bullshit one. It's like, imagine telling that to someone who's been playing these games for like 20 years, like 30 years. It's just so unbelievably insulting. You know, they dismiss your life experience. Didn't understand it? No. It's very clear what's going on. You thought it was a remake, but it turns out to be a sequel. Like a remakequel, a multiverse, fan fiction, Marvel madness, Kingdom Hearts adventure, gosh. And it's like, yeah, well, no one wanted that. And the sales confirm it. The purist argument is bullshit because it's totally possible to expand upon this source material authentically. If you're gonna change things, but you make it better, people are usually fine with that, or you make it as good. If you look at The Warriors, the PS2 game, if you look at Scarface, the video game, they then, from what I've seen at least, expand upon what those movies did, but they do so in a way that feels authentic. Those games are really well received. A lot of people really liked that. In fact, those games are a great blueprint on how to expand upon a pre-existing thing and still have it feel authentic. That is not what we got with Remake and Rebirth, and everyone knows it. A lot of people were even open to the idea of this fixed-angled, turn-based game now being free cam with action combat, but as soon as the whispers showed up and the timeline changing and all this bullshit, a lot of people like noped out. You'll see those comments everywhere. They're like, no, I like the combat and I like moving the camera and stuff, but the fake ghosts, no. In fact, the whispers might be Square's worst idea ever, and there's some stiff competition for that title.
When all along the most rational response to a fan trying to process a mind-boggling meta remake of the game they loved would be, yeah, I get why you'd feel that way, or even, no, I can't agree with that. Instead, well, you know what we got, and you know where we were told to go, to Max Dude, the arbiter of fate, who, remake fans assured us, had single-handedly connected all the dots and now held the keys to our remake re-education.
You know what's funny is that in a way I'm more of an arbiter of fate because I'm the one trying to keep the timeline the same. I said this in my video where I was shot by shot comparing the ending of 7 Remake with the OG. It's like, if the Fate Whispers are meant to represent the OG fans trying to keep the timeline the same, then I'm that, okay? I'm the arbiter. I'm like the biggest Fate Whisperer of all, just being like, no, don't change the story.
Connected all the dots and now held the keys to our remake re-education. Oh, we remember those days. If we rejected the hype, they told us to leave the community, and if we want to talk about remake, do it someplace else, because our criticisms were ruining their enjoyment. But then if we made social media posts or even videos about it to try connect with like-minded voices, they said we're rage baiting, a grifter after money and clicks. A hilarious thing to say to genuine Final Fantasy fans of all people.
Rage bait would imply that 1, I don't mean what I say, and 2, I'm not actually angry about it. believe me, I'm both.
Well, they certainly can't say I'm not a Final Fantasy fan. I've got multiple videos praising the Golden Age, and at least I'm consistent with my disappointment with the modern games, which
This is a video you guys should check out and that I need to actually watch and react to myself. The Multiverse of Meh, which came out on Rebirth launch. And this has about 100,000 views. This shows that there absolutely is an audience who are very critical of Rebirth and Remake and upset with it. And huge respect to Orion85 because he's part of the old guard. He's been here long before I ever showed up.
and at least I'm consistent with my disappointment with the modern games, which extends to 16 by the way, and each time I criticize the modern entries, I try to explain why the older games work and why I still love them so much. You may not agree with my opinions, but I think it's clear to anyone approaching in good faith that I'm being honest. Yet, within the fandom, some had labelled me a toxic entity, but the only so-called toxic content fans could find were the two videos where I called out the toxic remake and Square Enix fandom. Some people pointed to those videos like I was tarring all fans who simply wanted to enjoy the games, when really those videos were a response to abuse I had received. They were videos about a specific mindset and the odious practices employed by some fans.
This is true. I mean, basically they say, how dare you hit back? When the FF7 part of Twitter was all dogpiling on me, I remember people complaining that I was responding to abusive comments in a funny way. Am I supposed to get upset? Am I supposed to get emotional? Am I supposed to get really sad? Like, no, I responded with like, you reckon you're pretty tough, don't you? Or like the Red 13 giggling fart face, like... They were criticizing me for having a sense of humor. It's ridiculous.
Practices that had led some channels to make a silent agreement never to cover Remake for fear of its fan base.
Okay.
So, in short, yeah, if you wanted to identify into those videos, be my guest. So anyway, there was a little old me making videos to the point where, yeah, people...
Wow, what a fake fan. Clearly never played the OG. This guy doesn't even like Final Fantasy. Sorry, I'm just role-playing, but that's unironically what these people say. Play this for like 30 years. Like, what more do you want from me?
So anyway, there was a little old me making videos to the point where, yeah, people called me obsessed and a grifter. I had a couple videos that seemed to reach further than my normal, but all in all, I was a small-time, inconvenient nuisance. Why am I saying all this? Merely to demonstrate the disorganized quiet that appeared to be the anti-remake fans, a scattered bunch of content and opinions hidden in corners, not at all representative of what was actually a largely held opinion, even if that large opinion existed offline or in non-Final Fantasy circles. But all along I wondered what would happen when someone big enough appeared who was critical of the remake games. Someone who knew how to YouTube, someone who could go beyond niche parts of the fandom and reach mainstream audiences too. Someone with a growing voice who wasn't afraid to make it louder.
Seems like a pretty cool guy to me.
Not just in one video out of 100, but I mean someone who would consistently talk about the issues of Remake and Rebirth.
That's it. Not just one video out of 100, but hundreds of videos. I'd say if I had to count, maybe roughly, is it at 100 or 200? I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I should count one day. It could look pretty funny.
100, but I mean someone who would consistently talk about the issues of Remake and Rebirth. And in 2025, that voice finally emerged with a creator called Sebi Webbs.
The handsome hero of the story shows up. I love that he uses this screen cap. This is when I was talking about how Sid Highwind and Vincent were not playable in Rebirth. And yet this unbelievably stupid comment. They already added 3 new characters in Rebirth. Are you dumb? They're saving Sid and Vincent for the 3rd game. Oh, I think this guy also said that he wouldn't have bought part 3 if they didn't have any new characters. Like, what are you talking about?
With a creator called Sebi Webbs. If you watch Remake content and you somehow haven't seen his videos yet, he's a streamer who's grown off the back of his Expedition 33 videos and then his latest criticisms of Remake and Rebirth through many shorts and videos and shot-by-shot comparisons. Some criticized him of rage baiting, arguing that he's not a Final Fantasy fan. Not that this would even matter to have an opinion on Remake or Rebirth's quality, but it took me 5 seconds of research to see that A, he's been consistent, Here he is back in 2024, long before he blew up, reacting to the Rebirth scene.
Did you know, I thought I'd played FF7, but according to Twitter, I haven't. Did you know I'm a fake fan who's never played the OG? And those of you who've been in my stream who also saw me do Rebirth live, you know for a fact I didn't like this. And the sad thing is, I tried to enjoy Rebirth. You can watch my VODs and you can see I tried to enjoy Rebirth from the start. I tried to have a good time with it. I was trying to be open-minded, but it just kept kicking me in the balls. And after the 50th kick, I realized it wasn't getting any better. In fact, you can see the moment I break, which is after the Gold Saucer dance number, where Yuffie, Tifa, and Eris do a choreographed dance just out of the blue, join the main performance. Yuffie goons over Dio, and then you think you got the fresh moves. That was when I'm like, all right, okay, I think I've run out of patience with this thing. What is the fucking lore explanation for that? What the writers needed that to happen? They wanted that scene to happen? Why the fuck did any of that happen? Explain to me that in the video game. Why? Fuck, that was the most polished turd I've ever seen in my entire life. That was the most expensive pile of shit I've ever seen. That adds nothing to the game. That adds nothing. That's, oh my god. That sucks, man. That was trash. That was fucking shit. Okay.
This is not a flash in the pan thing he suddenly jumped on in 2025. You can see he has a vested interest. You can see he cares. And B, not that he ever needs to demonstrate it, but he's also a fan of other Final Fantasy games and JRPGs. Of course, that was never...
Well, apparently I'm not. Someone on Twitter is arguing that I'm a fake fan because I didn't master the combat system of FF16. There is no pleasing these people. Even if I did, they would just say, oh, you clearly never played it, because if you did, you love it. They would just say, oh, if you hated it, why'd you master it? You know what I mean? There's no making these people happy. Let's say you've watched Lord of the Rings 5 times. To these people, you still don't like it. A real fan would have memorized every single detail from every single scene and be able to paint it perfectly from memory, according to these people. Fake fan is one of the most bullshit arguments in their disposal, and it doesn't work, really.
But he's also a fan of other Final Fantasy games and JRPGs. Of course, that was never the problem. The real problem was, Sebi had joined the ranks of inconvenient nuisances, talking about the remake games. But he soon became a new kind of problem, growing at an accelerated rate. As soon as he appeared on X, and for the first time in recorded history, we witnessed a prominent blue tick suddenly talking about the issues of remake, rather than praising its virtue, the entire remake fandom entered panic mode. And Sebi received the usual reaction I talked about earlier, just on a much bigger scale.
You know what the funny thing is? All it took to trigger the biggest meltdown in the history of the FF7 section of Twitter was 3 tweets. And I cover those in the video I made about this. It was this one ripping on the singing lady. Shut up! Just listen. Stop it! Stop it! Stop it! Stop it! Stop it! Stop! It was the one ripping on Rude's bald bar, where I did a shot by shot. And I think it was maybe the one shredding Red 13's voice.
Oh, don't say that. You're only making this harder.
3 tweets, and it caused the biggest meltdown that has ever been seen on that platform in the 7 Remake community. I think I know why that might be, because my first reaction was like, how did you guys not know? Like, I've been posting shorts criticizing this on TikTok, Insta, and YouTube for like 6 months. But the thing is, maybe I think I was spacing those apart. I was also like finding out like the best arguments as I was going along. I was like refining my arguments along the way. So for those people, maybe it was a slow burn. With Twitter on the other hand, I think everyone was excited for part 3. And then I came out of the blue with 3 tweets in one day that just snowballed absolutely cataclysmically. And I think they weren't ready for such refined high-level kill shots because it nuked their brains.
Rather than praising its virtue, the entire remake fandom entered panic mode. And Sebi received the usual reaction I talked about earlier, just on a much bigger scale. The remake fans couldn't handle it, because the narrative was changing. All those people who were on the fence about the remake were suddenly entertained or enlightened enough to start falling on the Square Enix got it wrong side, or feeling brave enough at last to voice their true feelings, or even mainstream gamers with little knowledge of the series were suddenly watching the content and laughing alongside Sebi.
That's a really important point, and it's something I like to see a lot, is I get comments from people saying that like they've thought this for the last 20 years and someone's finally saying it. People have said similar things to me in the past, but for whatever reason, my content seems to hit really strong and go far with that. Another thing that's important is that it actually can change people's minds. Like normal gamers, average people, they look at the shot-by-shot comparisons and they're like, wow, yeah, that is worse. Or they'll say, well, I mean, I like both versions, but you cannot say they're the same. And that was what my content did that changed the conversation. And it was actually a friend of mine who pointed this out. The shot-by-shots were a great way for an outsider to understand the problems. And I do like it when I see someone in the comments say that through watching my content, they feel a bit more empowered to speak their mind and be critical of this. The argument that you haven't played the game is insane denial, Shatash. Yeah, I mean, well, nothing's good enough for these people. You know, some of these people think that I played FF10 for the first time in 2024 because that's when I posted an ending video of it. No, that's me posting an ending video of my second playthrough on Twitch. I played that game on launch in 2001, then I played it again in 2011, then I played it twice on stream. Like, do I have video footage of me at age 14 playing on my PS2? No, because I never thought that one day I might have to prove I did, and you shouldn't have to. It's outrageous that some of these people would demand video evidence of you playing these games when you were 10 in the 90s. Outrageous. I would never demand that from them. Someone says they played a game, I'll believe them. Why would they lie? The whole you didn't play the OG is an infuriating non-argument, and I don't think that even they believe it. In a way, that's the worst part. Not that they're lying to me, and